What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Canes Insight Daily Podcast powered by Andrade and Levine Accident Attorneys. It's breakfast with the Canes. It's Saturday, scrimmage tomorrow. Guys are moving up and down the depth chart. A lot of action, a lot of people jostling for position as we get ready for that Notre Dame game. We'll talk about all that here on Canes Insight. So anytime we talk about anything, we got to give thanks to our sponsors, the guys that make this happen, Andrade and Levine Accident Attorneys. If you or someone you care about has been injured in an accident, you could be entitled to significant compensation. Dial 1-800-747-FREE, 1-800-747-3733. Take back control of your life with Andrade and Levine. Pete, hop in here.
Great morning, D. I'm absolutely buzzing. The world's greatest sport is back. Nice to get a point. Really a treat this morning to get a point away at Villa Park. Like I said, I'm buzzing. The energy's high. Like you said, scrimmage tomorrow. But I think it's a good
so you're buzzing
point.
off a tie, right? It was a tie game?
A draw, yeah. Villa hasn't lost at home in 22 matches now. So, and there's a lot of controversy around the club right now. Our star player is trying to force a transfer, so didn't have him, best top 2 or 3 goal scorer in the league. So, I'll take it, all things considered. But, more importantly, we got the scrimmage tomorrow, and I think it's a good point of camp here, where I guess camp technically probably wraps after the second scrimmage here, I believe. And it's a good point because guys are jostling, as you said, and kind of getting in position here for game one, really, because it's going to kind of be like you see in basketball, these rotations are shortened in the playoffs, in the big moments. It's going to be a shortened rotation, I believe, game one against Notre Dame. Guys that they really, really, really trust. So, guys are getting themselves in position to be playing against Notre Dame.
No, you said it. This is the timing of where we're at right now. So you have, just so folks understand, you have camp, right, which is, obviously learning what you're doing. You've been running the same systems at least since spring. In the case of the offense, longer than that. Dawson's been here a few years now. But you're learning what you're doing. You're obviously going through, indies, just drills, just getting ready for the season. And you're also competing for spots. Once you get to Notre Dame week, now instead of a lot of like one-on first team versus first team, second team versus second team, you start getting into Miami's first team against the scout team, right? Which is going to be scout team players, third team, fourth team type players running Notre Dame's system. And they'll be running Notre Dame's plays. As I've got Pete here, we'll get him back here in a second. Running Notre Dame's plays. They're mocking and imitating basically what Notre Dame does. So that is the difference between, I guess, what we call camp and then Notre Dame week. So we're still in camp mode. You got the second scrimmage coming up here tomorrow. You've had some high-intensity practices. And really what this is about is figuring out who's who and who can do what. So the competitiveness of this time period is strong. It's always strong, but I think it's particularly strong, especially this last scrimmage, because this is, I won't say it's a final audition because the depth chart does move after this, but it's certainly a major milestone in the process to see where everybody's going to go. And I want to talk about one name in particular standing out to me that I'll get to, but just in general, some names that are moving up and down the chart, probably more up. I won't say the ones that are moving down. You'll have to figure those out. But yeah, man. So a good question by Grizz. Do you guys do an ACC preview show? Interested to hear what you think of the conference as a whole. Good idea. I think we might do something like that here this week. So thanks for the idea. My big picture thoughts on the ACC is that a lot left the conference, the transfer portal, and not a lot came in aside from like Miami. So I think on the net, you lost more than you got in the ACC in the portal. Pete, we back? We feeling good?
Yeah, I don't know what happened. My computer just completely shut off out of nowhere. So,
did Honey trip over a cord or something?
It doesn't happen again.
Was Honey out there chewing up cords?
Now I don't hear you.
Oh, all right. Well, keep working over there, Pete. Keep working over there. All right. Vaughn asking, any news on the kicking competition? Here's what I'll say about the kicking competition. You got multiple guys kicking well. Bert Auburn, we know what he can do. He's first team all Big 12. With him, it's just about the kind of the mental part of the games because he had a great year in 2023, tough year last year. So that's about kind of more mental challenge. But man, Carter Davis, he came in to kick kickoffs at least on paper. Big leg from FAU. Didn't really kick a lot at FAU. Was more like the long kicker. Like he kicked the long ones. But man, he looks good. He looks good. He's hitting long field goals. So I think Miami's got, obviously which you'd rather have Borregales forever because they were the best kickers in the country. And there's nowhere higher than number one. But, I think that with what you have now, you have a competition that is not like a competition like, oh, man, we got to play one of these guys, but more like, hey, we got some dudes that can play. Obviously, Auburn being the experienced one who's done it in games as a first-team All-Big 12 player a couple years ago. But then Carter Davis with that big leg that you brought in just to kick it out of the end zone, which I think he's going to do at a higher level than Borregales. If there's one area where I do think will improve kicking-wise year over year will be the touchbacks, kickoffs, because Borregales was a smaller guy. He'd get tired towards the end of the year and he wouldn't really boot it out the end zone. So I think we'll improve that area. Kicking is probably going to be a step back just because you're talking about the best kicker we ever had. But, I think you got two guys that are competing in a good way, meaning they're both competing by making kicks and making long kicks. Carter Davis, I mean, I've seen him boom him from way back using that leg that, again, was meant for touchbacks. But he's a kicker. He's competing, and I think he's getting a lot better at kicking. And the arrow's pointing up with him, and he's got a talented right leg. So I like the kickoff competition right now. Do I wish we had Borregales brothers in perpetuity? Yes, I'd be lying if I said I didn't. I mean, you had All-America back to back, so it's hard to beat that. But I think we're going to be pretty good in the kicking game. You don't know kickers until they get in the games because, again, Auburn was one of the better kickers in the country and then really struggled. So, shout out to my boy Night King, big number 8. So, you had a great year with Auburn, then a bad year. You got to see it in games to really know where he's at. But, I mean, the guy can obviously make kicks. There's no question he can make kicks. And then with Davis, he's coming up and pushing. Travis Dale, would you guys have access to tomorrow's scrimmage? Anything to look out for at tomorrow's scrimmage? So we'll have access. We can't just do a scrimmage breakdown afterwards just because it's a little more secretive than that. We got Notre Dame coming up. But I think just in general, things I'm looking out for is going to be the receiver battle. There's a lot of guys that are making a lot of plays. You want to narrow that down a little bit as you get to Notre Dame. So that would be one thing I'm watching. Just kind of the linemen, like what young linemen really step up. Running backs, because scrimmage is one of the few times where, at least for a half of the scrimmage, usually they switch to thud in the second half. But usually in the first half of the scrimmage, you're taking guys down to the ground. So, you want to see which running backs can break tackles in that setting and like actually guys trying to take them and tackle them. Not a lot of full contact tackling in practice these days. And that's across the country. So like a Chris Wheatley-Humphrey, a Gerard Pringle, you want to see what those guys can do with live tackling. And Marty Brown to a lesser extent. He played a whole season, so you can kind of see it on film, but he's one you would want to see. So those are things I'm looking at. Linebackers, like things that like groups that are more physical and you can't really evaluate them in a lesser contact kind of situation. Those are the guys that I'm looking for. Hurricane 2511 says, the wife and I are heading down for the Notre Dame game. Just got our tickets, driving from Fairhope, Alabama. Pete, where should we get a tea time on Sunday morning? Go Canes. Yeah, Pete would be the one to know. I'm right by the Miami Beach golf course, which is a public golf course, which is on a nicer public golf course. So, I recommend that one. I'm not a huge golfer, but I know that's one of the better public courses around here. So if you're coming in just for the day, Miami Beach, it's also fun. You got like giant iguanas hanging around. You got parrots flying around. It's kind of interesting setting out here in Miami Beach. So, I'm not a golfer. I'll let Pete answer that when he gets back. Keep talking about CJ Daniels. He's going to be a major factor. I thought that all the guys in the mix trying to kind of narrow that down. I would say he's probably one of the safest ones that he's going to be able to perform and have a big role just because of experience, the size, the fact that he's doing good here. Burstone, always appreciate you. Smash that like button. It's free. Yeah, like and subscribe. Shout out to the villains. We had Streeter on yesterday from Footballville, Caneville. He's awesome as usual. We got that video on the YouTube channel. Check it out after this one. Yeah, let me know your questions as we kind of wait for Pete to jump on here. Man, Juan Manuel says, talk to me about Miami secondaries. Music to my ears compared to 24. And don't forget, we got 2 dedicated coaches compared to Guidry. Well, last year we had Guidry and Chevis Jackson. But, Miami's not Marshall. And I thought it was going to work. Having guys that were successful at Marshall coming to Miami and doing what they do. But I think there were a lot of things going on. One of them being personnel. I mean, let's be honest. Last year, you had Daryl Porter was a really good corner. I thought he took one for the team playing nickel when he really should have been playing corner. And you were just not as talented at that spot as you wanted to be, top to bottom. Whereas now, Frederic, Xavier Lucas, Damari Brown, Ethan O'Connor is really coming on strong. Charles Brantley, an experienced guy. So you're talking about 5 guys that have played a lot. Damari playing a little less because he's been injured, but 5 guys that have played and are kind of starting caliber guys on the outside, plus a dedicated nickel and Keontae Scott. So, just love that position. I think will be one of the best in the country. Ken Kniff saying, I was watching the episode from yesterday and I got the notification for this. Yeah, man, we're working. We're working hard. We're trying to do our best out here, man. Putting on a lot of content. It's just a lot of fun to talk Canes. So this isn't work. I could do this all day. Kevin Dennis, I got the best birthday gift from wifey. Shout out to Mrs. Dennis for the Sean Taylor throwback jersey, that 2001 Sean Taylor throwback. And if you want to know where to get that one, Miami Hurricane Team Store, baby. They got the Sean Taylor throwback from 2001, the Ed Reed throwback from 2001, all this officially signed memorabilia, all the kind of new clothes. I see the Mark Fletcher jersey. I know my guy Night King's rocking that one. You get your girl. I like this, the baseball jersey for the woman. I might get this one. Look at this. Get that one for the lady. Mesh baseball jersey, green cropped. Promo code INSIGHT20. You get 20% off your first item. So that's whether you're at MiamiHTS.com if you're not local. If you are local, just go into the store and say CanesInSight, INSIGHT20. They'll get you 20% off your first item. So be like Miss Dennis and either get something for your loved ones or for yourself at MiamiHTS.com or the Hurricane Team Store. Sean asking, is Pancake going to start over Rodriguez at left guard? Don't forget about Matt McCoy, right? So you got a lot of guys in the mix there. I think you're talking about probably 8 guys that you feel really, really good about right now when you talk about Markel Bell, McCoy, Brockmeyer from Texas Christian, the transfer, Ines Cooper, Francis Mauanoa. Then you got Ryan Rodriguez, who can kind of fill in all those spots. Started last year against UF before he got hurt. He's healthy. He's doing his thing. He can play center. He can play guard, either guard spot. Then you talk about Sampson, who's really elevating. He's been one of our breakout stars of camp. The light has come on, according to people I've talked to. Hard worker, already graduated. I mean, the super smart guy. Usually guys like that tend to get better. So he can play both tackle spots, both guard spots. And then third guy, I would say probably Tommy Kinsler, the big athletic talent from Ocala, who starting to just mature. And not that he was like an off the field problem or anything, but you just see his face. He just looks more like a grown man, as he is a big athletic player who I think you talk about when he's, a redshirt senior or redshirt junior or whatever, when he's down the road, I think you're going to be talking about him as a NFL type player just because of his size and athleticism, man. He's one of the most talented guys on that whole group. Night King. So Buck Strickland says, I need that Fletcher junior jersey. There you go. Miami Hurricane Team Store, man. Night King saying, first dairy. Hate to say secondary. They play so good. Yeah, listen. Last year couldn't say that. This year, I think we might. Mike Jeezy said, my fiance just got me some new Canes merch for his 45th birthday. Shout out to Mike turning 45. Again, if you're trying to direct your significant other somewhere, Miami Hurricane Team Store, MiamiHTS.com, 20% off your first item. Well, how's Jabori Antoine doing? Who's injured in high school? Is he a good safety prospect? Yeah, man, he is picking it up. He's really, really doing a good job. He's you look at his face, man. Jabori Antoine, if you see him around campus, you would think he's like a little brother of it. Some of these kids, his face is just very young. There's no other way to really way to say it. He just looks like 14, which is good because sometimes you see these 14-year-olds with mustaches and they don't get that much better. But with a Jabari Antoine, he certainly has a lot of growth potential. He's already pretty tall. He looks like 6 foot 6'1", and he played corner and safety in high school. He's playing mostly corner for us now, but I think he could play safety, and if there's a need there and an opportunity to get on the field. And he had a knee injury in high school, right? The torn ACL. So he spent spring on campus rehabbing that, and now you see him a full go, and every day he gets better. I think he has a very, very bright future. I just like his attitude and, of course, his talent. It's just a matter of getting him healthier. Grizz says, I saw a video of Lofton hitting the sled as a ball carrier. The pop was different. That guy in the weight room, talk about power cleans and all the explosive lifts. He is absolutely off the charts in that category. I really think when it's all said and done, he's going to be an NFL running back. I think you're going to see him as like a super fullback, like a all-world fullback who can block, who can run with the ball, and he can catch. You see fullbacks all over the place in the NFL right now. He has all of those fullback things, plus he can run, plus he can be a receiver. Oh, wait, we have a special guest.
I've gone to extreme lengths to make sure that this works.
Yeah, man, it sounds like a hostage video, but you're out there. How we doing?
Well, do I sound okay?
You're all right. Where are you right now? It's like you look like you're in a interrogation room. Oh, yeah, Pete's going through it right now. We'll let him go, man. We'll let him negotiate his release. We don't negotiate with terrorists, so Pete might be stuck in there for a minute. Kyle's asking, if you could re-rank the class of 2025 now, would you give any of these signees 5 stars? Good question. I mean, Hayden Lowe's a 5-star. Just guys that would re-rank, I think, for sure. I think right off the top, Dante Simpson, I'm putting him in that 4-star category. He's a 3-star defensive tackle that can move like that. Big guy. I put him at that 5-star, or sorry, that 4-star at range for sure. We got a lot of 5 stars and 4 stars in last year's class. I'm just trying to think of guys that Kellen Wiley, I think, ended up at 4 stars. So obviously that's what he is. Last year we did sign a lot of blue chippers. It was just like we didn't have the depth of the class. One guy who I think I would, as a talent, I think as a 5-star talent, I would say Bryce Fitzgerald. Malachi Tony was a 3-star. I mean, he's obviously not that. He's a 5-star to me. So yeah. And Dalen Upshaw, I think, was a 3-star. I've always thought he was a 4-star type player. So those are just some names that pop up off the top of my head. Bryce Fitzgerald, talent-wise, I think is 5-star. Just because he's so unique with his athleticism on the back end, his ability to just cover so much ground. He runs a 4.3. He's got great instincts. He can intercept the ball. He can take it the other way. So Bryce Fitzgerald will be one. Pete, are we free?
If it doesn't work this time, I'm gonna just let it go.
You're there. I hear you.
Dude, I've been hearing you every time. I don't know what's going on. I'm on my phone now. I completely rigged this different setup, and I'm on my phone now.
You MacGyvered it.
2 mics. I got 2 mics, and it's looking fresh with this jacket on too. We got that.
I know, man. You look like
green coming in there.
Up. Drizzy Drake says, CanesInSight, pay the ransom to get the boy. We got him. We got him back.
You talking about Derek Cooper or me?
No, talking about you, man. You were out there kidnapped. Here. Speaking of Derek Cooper, Brandon says, Derek Cooper said, well, get me excited about Miami's if they come up with that big win against Notre Dame. Yeah, I mean, we talked about it when he committed, man. We got to show momentum. We get that win against Notre Dame, bright lights, everybody watching on TV, things are going to start moving a little bit.
Comment says that Honey has me hostage.
A lot of comments on the jacket. Brandon says, embarrassing jacket. Pete doing Isaac. Who is that? Dirty?
Isak, but Brandon has a very muddled and convoluted mind with the club that he supports in Man United. So, I understand his frustrations. Hopefully they finish better than 17th, 16th in the league or whatever this year.
Nick West asked about the jacket. JR Barr says, vintage 1980s Beirut hostage video look.
Dude, they got some good food out of Beirut. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, my wife's Lebanese, Cuban. The Lebanese got around, man. They spread everywhere when they got kicked out of Lebanon, the Christians at least. You got Salma Hayek, Shakira, they're all Lebanese, Christians that went to these Hispanic countries. A lot went to Cuba, like my wife's family. So yeah, man, shout out to the Lebanese. They're out there making money for sure. Let's see what Brooke Flair saying. Damian Martinez going crazy in Seattle. 50 yards yesterday, touchdown. Running good, man. I think he's going to fit in that. They like to rotate backs a lot in that system. I know you got people out there that and communicate with. I think just from your agent days, I think that rotation and a style of running is nice for him.
Yeah, he can go hard, whenever he's in there and not really worry about the stamina necessarily. But man, he just wasn't in the right shape last year early in the season for Miami. You saw him get better as the season went on. You saw a little bit more of that burst, and from what I understand, he's completely leaned up. I mean, I don't know what the exact number is, but they basically told him if you come to camp out of shape, you're not making this team. So he's obviously taken that to heart and has excelled. So excited to see that progress for him. And yeah, I think he's one of those guys that's gonna that he had obviously a really good season at Miami, but is going to become a bigger name in the NFL.
So Pete, while you're here, I want to talk about something that I'm very excited about. I know you're excited about. Shout out to I don't know what we'll call her, Mrs. Ariz, or I'll just call her the saleswoman of the year. Helped you spruce this one up and make it look even nicer for the Instagram. But look at this right there. How about that? New partner, Duffy's Tavern Sports Grill. This is the real Duffy's. This is not that chain that you see in those mini malls. This is the real deal Holyfield, West Miami. This is if you're a Miami Hurricane fan from way back down here in Dade County, you know about Duffy's. This is the spot. Canes players have been going here since the 70s. It is an institution now accepting credit cards. So it's the old school feel, but new school details, new school menu. The people that really remade the whole Scotty's Landing area in Coconut Grove are now the new owners here. So they're not going to do a total just overhaul like you saw over there, because the Duffy's it's not broke. Just needs to get tweaked. Now they take credit cards. They got new items on the menu, all the old classics, and just that feel, man. We recorded there last week. Pete, I know this is your home away from home, and seeing this sign was a pretty cool moment.
Yeah, that was great to see. I mean, I drive past the sign literally every single day. So, I think it was a surprise to both of us that we got it up there. I know you've been going there since you were a kid. So, no, man, it was awesome to see. It was an honor, like you said, and I'm excited to already getting a lot of people reaching out like, hey, are we doing shows there? What's the deal? You're going to see us a lot over there in terms of doing shows like we did.
Yep. No, we'll be hanging out there heavy. 57th Avenue.
See the whole place.
Yep.
Am I back on hostage situation?
You're all right. You're a little delayed, but we're chilling. But yeah, man, we'll be doing a lot of shows out there, really supporting and it's a partner, man. That's why I got the shirt. I need that shirt to wear around. That Duffy shirt is such a classic. And then you go look on the walls, man. If you're just a guy who likes Miami Hurricane history, go here, just look on the walls, and you see the championship celebrations as they happen. So, it's really, really cool what's happening at Duffy's, and the fact they're preserving it. Could have been torn down. It could have been a parking lot, but it was too good, too historical, meant too much to too many people. And man, we're fired up to be partnered with Duffy's Tavern. So yeah, man. It's good times. Pete, very important news, by the way. We got to talk about some current events, okay? Are you ready? Are you with me?
I'm ready. I've heard everything. I haven't had any drop off, so.
No, you sound good. So important issue here we have to deal with, which is a new law passed in Kentucky, which has banned student phone use during the school day. Now, of course, we employ Trenton Breeze, Camden Burton out there in Kentucky, to beast for CanesInSight. Trenton Breeze is writing like 3 stories a day for CanesInsight.com during science class. Camden Burton's doing professional level edits, during, what do they got? Social studies. I don't even know what they teach in high school anymore. But we got all that.
And the issue is they're both athletes. So, we got to now wait for school to be over and then practice after school to be over. And, you know, Camden, he does a great job with that, but man, we gotta do something about this. This, what is it? Is it a law already? Is it a,
Yeah, it's a law,
what is
man.
this?
So
I think
House Bill 208. We gotta. I'm gonna start a petition, man. We gotta get some protests going. I gotta be honest. I like it in Miami. I don't want my kids.
they're holding back.
But
yeah, but if your kids had the opportunity to work with a world-renowned website in creating content, then I'm sure you would, you know, give them the exception, right?
100%. So let's start the cause. Bring back cell phones in Kentucky public schools. We're starting the movement right now. Trenton Breeze, Camden Burton, we're working for you, man. Shout out to you, Roy. Liquid Enigma saying, we driven by that Duffy sign many a time while visiting our son. We never went in, though. We'll add it to the try here list. Yeah, man, definitely. It's just a whole vibe. The food is great and improving with new items on the menu. The ambiance is awesome. People call it a dive bar. It's not a dive bar, because dive bars is like, you know, people doing cocaine in the bathroom. You know what I mean? Like all old people. This is a family vibe, but it's still like a old school bar. So that's what Duffy's is all about. So let's get to it here with back to football, Pete. I want to highlight this name, because if you're asking me a name that is emerging, right, that's got some helium behind it. Shout out to Josh Darrow. I know he likes that line. You know, a name that's really just going up. Keelan Marion. Oh, wait, real quick, before we get to that, Canes Cat Heat 305 says, this bill's a detriment to the CanesInSight bottom line, the Kentucky cell phone bill. What about when Pete was breaking scoops at Columbus, or I was talking to CJ Henderson during math class? There we go. That's what happened, man. What your career wouldn't have been at where it was today if not for your high school.
I'm gonna hold my comments to myself about. Yeah, that was our job at the time.
But anyways, let's talk about Keelan Marion, man. You know, JR Barr saying nice to have a legit kick return threat, and we know he's a legit kick return threat. He's All-America, but what I've seen with Keelan Marion is just really nice emergence and consistent growth at the wide receiver position every day, making more and more plays. And this time last year, Pete, we were excited about Sam Brown. Right? That was something we talked about a lot, his athleticism, what he could do. I can tell you with Sam Brown last year, it was interesting because Jerry Sullivan, who was like the elite wide receiver coach who coached Justin Jefferson and all these guys, longtime NFL guy. Some people say he was a GOAT NFL receiver coach. He lives in Miami, so he was just kind of helping at practice. And he was talking of Sam Brown. He said, this is the NFL guy. The personnel guys, everybody was talking of Sam Brown. But when you actually watched the practice, Sam Brown was not making a lot of plays. He was, I mean, clearly an athlete. There was a reason people were talking about him, but it wasn't like he was actually making plays. So you're kind of waiting like, all right, well, you got here late, middle of the season, this guy's going to be the guy. And to me, it never actually clicked with him. And what I missed with Sam Brown a little bit was that urgency. We think about the plays, a couple of plays. I know one against Florida stands out. I think there was another similar play where he caught the ball right around near the goal line and he couldn't get it in there. And it was like, you thought he could just kind of walk in there. So the urgency was not really ever there with Sam Brown. With Keelan Marion, I see a guy who's diving for everything, who is making a lot of plays. He himself is a great athlete like Brown was. I mean, he was All-America kick returner, big guy, 200 pounds. But just, I don't know, there's more energy and urgency to me with Keelan Marion. He's just a different personality. He's bouncing off the walls. I like what I'm seeing from Marion. I'm not saying he's going to be the number one receiver, but I think he is going to catch some important passes for Miami this year.
Yeah, I was very excited about Sam Brown as well. The NFL was very big on him, and the upside was there. But all of the stuff that you're mentioning kept him, you know, from being one of Miami's consistent players. I think if you're comparing the two, Marion's stronger, like just in the core here, like a little bit more filled out. I think he's listed at 195. So I think he's a little bit more filled out there in terms of core, and you know, is a guy who can break some tackles, right? I don't know about the side to side stuff. I don't see him being a guy in the slot or even on the outside who's like making people miss or like just consistently getting open. But he gets a little crease, he gets the ball, and I think he can take off with it.
And I'm a big body language guy. I know we have a lot of coaches in the chat. Coach Shenko, we got a ton of other guys who coach different sports. I always talk to my son about, your body language, man. You got to be urgent. The little details you do, running to drills, just not necessarily having to be Johnny try hard, show off, everybody look at me, but just having good, positive body language. And I think with Keelan Marion, he just seems like he's always ready to rock, man. He's bouncing up and down. He's a high energy type of individual. He's not afraid to have contact, right? You mentioned Pete, he's like a 200-pounder. He's almost built like a running back. So yeah, I just like what he brings to that room. And I think I made this comparison on CanesInSight.com, 7.5 million posts and counting. Sign up if you haven't signed up today. But if you look at like the receivers last year, it's not a one-to-one comparison. I think we're gonna have more guys playing than we did last year. If you look at last year, I think the Restrepo role, that to me is Malachi Tony. Tony Johnson's going to make some plays too. By the way, Ray Joseph's made some plays too. But I think if I'm asking who's the most like Restrepo, to me, it would be a Malachi. Horton, that would be a CJ Daniels to me. More experienced, older guy, but similar size, contested catches. You know what he's going to do on third down and things like that. JoJo Trader reminds me a little bit of Jacoby George. Just that quickness, that fluidity, the fact that, he can really turn guys around and make guys look silly running routes. I see, and some ball tracking ability. I see some Jacoby George with JoJo Trader, maybe a little more talented with JoJo, just more athletic. But then you look at the Sam Brown role. That's why I compare the two. I think Keelan Marion can give you that, just maybe with obviously the kick return plus, but then also just a little more kind of physicality and energy. As Coach Shenko says, that type of energy is contagious. How you about those comps?
I don't disagree with it completely. I would have said if I did.
Yeah, but look, I think
I will let my opinion be known.
I think more people will play than last year. Meaning, like last year, you really had 4.
Well, you heard what Dawson said. Dawson pretty much said it himself. Like, we feel good about a lot more guys playing this year than we did last year. And I said it yesterday on the show, D, like, and you know this, Cam didn't trust outside of the top 3 receivers and then really Arroyo. Like, you can throw Brown in that mix. He obviously didn't trust him to the same degree as he did those top 3 guys. And I think different quarterback, but that trust and just, again, I call it playability. Like, is this guy playable? Can you put him out there and not expect him to freeze up in that moment or to make a pivotal mistake? Unfortunately, like we saw JoJo with the drop that he had against Florida last year, but that is a learning moment. You hope for someone like him. A guy like Chance Robinson just wasn't healthy last year. He's gotten himself to a point where you need him out there. You feel good about what he can bring from a size and physicality standpoint, right? So underneath the top level guys, there's just more that I feel comfortable about it. Shannon Dawson said it himself. It's not my opinion.
Yeah, you said it. You mentioned trust. I think Tony Johnson falls in that category. Playability. Mm-hmm. He's played, so he's what he can do. You have younger guys, kind of Ray's been around a little bit, but then the other younger guys like the Nikars of the world who started to make some nice plays. He can. Those guys are. Chance Robinson, I think, is really kind of surprising me with his consistency. I should probably highlight him again. Chance Robinson, he is going to be a factor. He's really just kind of steamrolled his way into this conversation when I personally was not like counting on it just because I hadn't seen him. He hadn't been playing. So now seeing him play, he's really earning his way. So shout out to him and the work he's put in to be on the field. But he's going to be a factor, I think, at some point, if not sooner. And then, Josh Moore, of course, the flashes he can do. I like Dalen Upshaw as well. So it's a good group, man. There's a lot of guys that can do it. Good question from Nashville. And Pete, let me get your thoughts after I chime in, which is, who would you rather have on the roster, Isaiah Horton or CJ? You guys know that we were like really the first people to talk about Isaiah Horton in the first practice of spring 2020. Would that be 24? Right? We were like, hey, Horton's a new man. He's gotten bigger. So we're big Horton fans. I would say this. I think Horton upside is the best, meaning like, he's in Alabama now with 2 other really good receivers. He's going to get a very favorable coverage. He's an emerging player. He's getting better all the time. Very athletic. So I think the upside of Horton, as far as like being just a game breaking player, I think is higher. But I think for like this team, which a lot of young players, CJ Daniels is a leader, and he, not that Horton is not, but like Horton's not that personality that's going to grab everybody and say this is this. The guys we had last year weren't like that. Really, none of them were like that. Even like Restrepo and George, who were really great players for us, that wasn't their personality. Not everybody's like that. And it's not a bad thing. There's guys in the NFL that are just icons that aren't like that. It's just not everybody has that personality. So it's a social kind of thing. CJ Daniels is the guy who will take time to really work with the young guys and show them how to be a pro. And I think because, like Josh says, because we're so young, that leadership, and not just leadership by example. Xavier Restrepo was the absolute ultimate leader by example with how he took care of himself and how he performed. I think Daniels has that, but he also has like, hey, I'm going to actually take time to grab these guys and teach them. And that's just something his dad, like Daniel's dad is like a motivational coach, basically. That's his business. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's a skill that he has. It's something that he actually just emphasizes in his home, and it's not fake. It translates to the room. So I think that's why I like CJ Daniels' fit here on this team. And I think production-wise, he'll at least give you what Horton gave you last year. Now, Horton might go out there for Alabama and be one of the more dynamic receivers in the SEC. I don't know. We'll see. He could. I wouldn't surprise me. But in terms of like what Horton gave us last year, contested catch, reliable, move the chains, I think CJ Daniels definitely can do that.
Yeah, I'm still going to take Horton because I think his upside, there's more to what we've seen, and we've seen him get better like each year, really. And we thought there could be a breakout year 2 seasons ago. The situation was pretty messed up at quarterback at that point, so it didn't happen. But I'm a huge fan of Daniels. I think maybe you could say his hands are one of the most consistent in the country. We saw in the SEC, in terms of the drop rates, he was good last year. The big playability we saw at Liberty, but I know what we had in Horton at Miami, and I see some of the stuff, and I think from an NFL perspective, he's thought of higher than Daniels as well. So yeah, he didn't, for as big as Horton was, he didn't play like, he was like mock guys out there, right? So you could say that he's a bigger receiver, but at the same time, you saw how he was killing on slants last year and just getting inside of these smaller corners. So I'll still take Horton there.
Yep, no, all fair points. So I can't argue with you. It's gonna be hard watching that guy perform. I think he's gonna have a big year. Philly Kane says, "Morning, guys. Finally catching you live. Love the show and the content you bring. Appreciate you, Philly Kane. I've been on a Philly music kind of run right now. Just my playlist has just been all Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, Delphonics, Hall and Notes. So Philly Soul's been heavy on the D Money playlist right now. So shout out to Philly. The Phillies are playing well. It's a fun place to watch sports. I'll tell you that. I was out there a couple weeks ago. Johnny Green, appreciate you.
I think weren't we told that Duffy's is a Phillies bar also?
Oh, a sneaky Phillies bar. You're absolutely right. Duffy's is a sneaky Phillies bar. It's kind of undercover because they're such a local institution. And I'm a Marlins fan. I didn't want to say it. But if you're a Phillies fan, you want to find out where the Phillies fans are, Duffy's Tavern in Miami. If you're a Philly fan in Miami, Duffy's Tavern right there, West Miami, is the way to go.
So I exposed it. I wasn't supposed to expose it. I apologize.
No, we'll expose it. You're a Phillies fan. You know where to go in Miami for your Phillies game. So Duffy's Tavern, baby. Play by the Rules says, the wide receiver is stacked with young talent ready to rock. It's going to be exciting watching this group, because I think with Beck, I think Ward was Ward was so locked in, and there was so much on him that he did not have time for young receivers. And that's not meaning that it was any kind of character flaw. He was just like, man, I'm trying to have the number one offense in the country by far. Our defense isn't that good. I'm trying to be number one overall pick by playing, and not selfishly, but I need to perform at that level. Right. So he really did not, he was locked in on those 4 veteran receivers that we had, where I think Beck, he has the same goals, but I just think there's more trust in the defense, and it's less like, hey, if this guy drops, I'll come back to him. You know what I mean? Like I think he's going to spread the ball around more than maybe Ward did. Ward had the number one offense we've ever seen. So I'm not going to second guess anything Ward did, but just for the purposes of this team, I think you will see more of the ball spread around to those younger receivers by Beck. I just watching him practice. One thing about Beck really doesn't lock in on receivers. You know, he not that Ward did either, really. But Ward is so good, he can just kind of like be like, hey, Restrepo, get open. I'm going to like bomb it into you perfectly without worrying about it because I'm so pinpoint and so special with my arm. Beck throws it to the open guy. And I think his style of play fits maybe a bigger wide receiver rotation, which really you had at Georgia when it wasn't that good. They were dropping a lot, but you had a lot of guys kind of in the mix, and he was just throwing it to everybody, throwing it to the tight ends, throwing it to the running backs, et cetera. So, you know, I think he was really doing a good job getting those guys involved every time I've watched him, and we'll see in the scrimmage tomorrow. But he is an extremely talented player, man, and he's the guy we need. Like J.R. Barr says, he's battle tested, will not fear playing anywhere against anyone important for a team leader, can help wide receivers along. I am bullish on Beck, man. Will he be Cam Ward? Odds are against it. Will he be the best quarterback we've had besides Cam Ward since forever? I'd probably bet on that for sure.
Why are odds against it? Why are odds against it?
Well, Beck Ward was the number one pick of the draft and had the number one offense in the country by a mile. So it doesn't happen all the time. A lot of kind of things have to fall into place. So
I don't know, man. They won 10 games last year. I think they can do better than that this year with him at the helm.
That's right. That's really how you judge these guys. He could exceed him there. George Blake saying Ward didn't decide who played and Beck won't either. The coaches decide based on their evaluations. That's true. I'm not saying that. I just mean that Beck, like, we had guys play that maybe didn't see the ball as often. Like a Trader got snaps and he didn't see the ball that often. Now the ball was going somewhere, so it's not like you're going to complain about it. The ball was getting caught and going for a while, and in practice it was kind of similar. But Beck is just more of a guy that, like,
if you don't think the quarterback has a say in who's playing, I don't know, man. I disagree with that.
Beck really does, and this is going to be such an obvious comparison because they're white guys that wear 11 for the Canes. But like Beck is like Dorsey in the fact that Beck really he gets rid of it so quick and he just spreads the ball. Dorsey was like, even with all those great receivers, Dorsey was never just like holding the ball like, hey, Andre Johnson, get open. He was throwing it to whoever was open, and obviously we had great players, so they took off and did it. But he was very much like a point guard, whereas I think Ward is more like a combo guard. You know what I mean? Like Ward's pounding the ball, and then making the greatest play you've ever seen. Whereas like with Beck and with Dorsey, like that ball's moving, right? It's like ball's out of his hands fast. It's going here, it's going there, it's going wherever it's got to go. I think that's just one of the key ways they're different is just their ability to just, if you're open, I'm not even looking at your number. You're getting the ball. So he has his guys he likes, but I don't think he's going to be a guy that really locks in. Even when he had Bowers and McConkey spread the ball around, those guys just happen to take it and run with it pretty good. So we'll see.
I'll hop off here. I'm sorry.
Yeah, hop off there, Pete.
I'm sorry for the technical difficulties today, guys. But
no, appreciate the persistence.
I'm sure again this weekend.
That was the persistence, dedication to getting on here on Saturday, man. So appreciate you, Pete. 1,200 on, man. So remember to like and subscribe to the show. Kyle asking, rank arm strength, Beck, Emery, Judd, Luke. Beck, for sure, number one. It kind of depends on the trajectory for those other guys. Intermediate, I think they're all pretty similar. I think Beck is by far number one. I think the other three are pretty similar. I think in terms of the balls that they throw well, this is accuracy, arm strength, and a lot of stuff. I think deep ball, the best one is Luke. I think Emery is probably the best at just like those intermediate throws. I think Judd's in terms of like stick throws, like digs and things where you're really driving the ball. I think Judd, that's where he's the best. So they all kind of have their different things, but Beck, I would say arm talent wise is the highest one by a good amount. Mohammed, appreciate you. Pack the Rock. I'll keep saying it. Appreciate all your support. People don't truly understand how valuable that is for the program. Pack the Rock is a Final Four team, 8 home games, man. And if we're rocking and rolling, it's going to be a very fun atmosphere, very hard to play against. Steven Azar saying, say hello to P Sizzle. Yes, sir. Gio Kane. I'd be very surprised if Miami doesn't win 10 games this year. Every team has its question marks. Ours is the wide receivers and defense, but hopefully our defense is much improved. I think so. I think that I think it is. We'll have to see. That's why they play the games. But I'm feeling much more confident on the defense, especially with these scrimmages and these hard practices. You're seeing the defense compete, and just physically, man, just look at their body types and the way they move. It's not that hard to scout. These guys are big, athletic players that everybody wanted, right? There's not rocket science, and they play hard, and they got good heads on their shoulders. That's usually a good recipe. Sherrod Williams, national championship is in Miami. This would be the year, right? This would be the year. Hassan saying, the Miami recruiting list for the Notre Dame game is impressive. Yeah, listen, you want recruits, including 27 recruits. There's going to be a heavy 27 contingent there. We'll report as it gets closer who's visiting. But you're going to want a very heavy contingent of 26 and 27 guys in that building because it's going to be electric. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a great environment. So, you want guys to be in there doing their thing. It's going to be a lot of fun to be there and to put on a show for all those guys that are worried about SEC environment. That Miami nighttime national TV environment, Notre Dame is going to be, I'll put that against any SEC environment. By the way, it's the first game. So they go there and they compare that to every game they travel to. If they go to Auburn, if they go to LSU, whatever, they're going to be like, man, Miami was just as loud as these places. Plus, the girls look better, so the whole vibe is going to be better at that Miami game when you started off with these recruits and kind of put that in their head that this is what Miami is like. Fast Miami Eddie says, Mitchie is going to start. Too many from the Notre Dame camp are saying CJ is going to win the battle, but don't have to believe the deception. They don't want Miami preparing for a running quarterback. Yeah, I'm going to do a lot of work here on Minchie. I've seen him. I've watched his high school stuff. I know there's some spring stuff that's out there I need to really dig in on. He's a runner, but he's not like Riley Leonard. That's like a legitimate like running threat. I mean, let me say it differently. He's a running threat, but Riley Leonard was like a running weapon. I mean, he was a legit runner when it was 3rd and 4 or whatever it is. They were going to him. He was the guy, right? So I don't know if it's going to be the same thing with Kenny Minchie in the mix. Almost 1,300 on. Like and subscribe. We're rocking and rolling here. We're going to keep this going, man. I'm having fun here. No need to slow down. But I wanted to shout out one of our new partners, Orchid Man, one of the biggest Canes fans you will ever meet, the Orchid Man. You see him all over rocking the gear. You see that OM logo all over Miami with different trucks. You're in South Florida. This includes Broward, the Keys. These are South Florida's landscape artisans. You want to take care of your landscape, whether it's your business, your home, and you want it to look right. You see something, you say, man, I want to look like that. I want it to look professional like that. But you talk to someone, it's like, hey, I got a guy. It's a very hard process. These guys will take care of you beginning to end. They make it easy for you, and they make it high end. They work with companies like Nike. They work with Miami coaches, right? They work with celebrities. They work with just your standard rich people. They work with normal people that want to have a rich landscape. That's what they do. This is high end, high service, taking care of all the details. They don't leave all the debris on your yard. They take care of that. They make it easy for you, man. And that's really what it's about. We got the 10% off discount right here. Orchid Man, Florida. Look at these beautiful landscapes. Look at that, man. Going home to that, you're going to feel like a millionaire, man, because that is the real deal life. If you're in South Florida, stuff grows here, man. Why not have a beautiful landscape? And look at all the different types of designs we got here. Fresh South Florida plants, sprinkler repair, irrigation system, rain gutters, hurricane prep, landscape lighting, fertilizing, tree stump grinding, tree removal, relocation, tree trimming, manicured maintenance, the details. It's not all artsy fartsy, man. The down and dirty details, they'll take care of you. OrchidManFlorida.com. That's the name you got to know. It's not just orchids. It's the whole process, man, of landscaping at OrchidManFlorida.com. Shout out to the Orchid Man. He's a huge Canes fan. So you want to support people who support the program, support Orchid Man Florida, man. Ghost of Von Donaldson saying, Mario's historically excellent at big out-of-conference games. So far, so good. I mean, you think about Texas A&M, though at least the one at home took care of that one. Florida last year took care of that. So we got some big ones on our ledger. HJS Canes, what's up, D-Money? Listening live from the city of Miami Fire Station 1. Go Canes. Appreciate you keeping everybody safe. Everybody at the station working hard, man. Appreciate you guys doing it for the city. So yeah, I'm fired up, man. Like old Baldy saying the same thing. Mario seems to do well in big games like this. We've won the big hype games. This is the kind of game he does well in. It's what the roster is built for, to compete. You know, we used to go in these big games and you see the other team come off the bus and you'd be like, it's going to be a long day. You know, just the off the bus test. That's a real thing. That's not just like aesthetics. That's a real deal thing. But we're going to win that test, or at least match that test with Notre Dame. And I think probably going to win that test. That's how big we are. When you talk about Carson Beck coming off the bus, yep, that looks like an NFL quarterback. Mark Fletcher, Jordan Lyle, Marty Brown coming off the bus. No one in the country has that kind of power in the backfield. Offensive line, Markel Bell, and Noah Nez Cooper. I mean, come on, what are we even talking about? So tight end, we got some big strapping guys. Luka Gilbert, by the way, 6'7", 263. Arrow pointing up on Luka Gilbert, man. His fluidity, his ability to catch the football, outstanding. So you're going to see him kind of in the mix as a young tight end. Of course, Lofton, if you treat him as a fullback, he looks the part because you don't want to deal with him. So he's kind of his own position, but he definitely looks the part. Not the height of a Luka Gilbert, a tight end, or a Bauman, but man, he is a powerful dude who can go toe-to-toe with anybody in the country. D-line, when you Justin Scott, Blunt, you know, Rubin, Bain. With these are heavy-duty blue shippers. And by the way, where's there been the most improvement in this kind of eye test deal? How about when Mo Torre and Wesley Basaint, who's now 230 pounds, walk around? Two guys who've been in college football for a long time. Wesley Basaint, class of 22, he's a senior. Mo Torre, class of 2019. He's an old dude, man, and he looks like an NFL linebacker. Those two guys walking around. Kellen Wiley is a freshman. That's, again, it looks right. Secondary, we already talked about Frederic, Xavier Lucas, Ethan O'Connor, Damari Brown, Jacoby Thomas in safety is a big dude. Zechariah Poyser. We just look better than we have in the past. And you can say, oh, that's who cares? You know, it's not just about looking the part. You got to play the part. Yeah, but I promise you, when we were in Atlanta and we walked off the bus to play the Alabama in that opening game, and Alabama walked up off the bus, those two things did not look the same. Now this team, there's more parity between Miami and everybody else at the top. Miami is one of those teams. It's your boy Kane saying we need our local talent to stand out and shine in this game on national TV. They need to show that the local talent can stay home and put on for the crib, and that we develop talent. Derek Cooper, Exhibit A, and also a lot of young guys. I agree with you 100%, Shaboy. But think about it. Lyle, Fletcher, JoJo Trader, Malachi Tony, Reuben Bain, Ahmad Moten, Armando Blunt, Wesley Basaint, OJ Frederic, Damari Brown, Xavier Lucas, Bryce Fitzgerald, right? So we're talking about young local guys or veteran local guys who are going to play a huge, huge role on this particular ball club. So I think you're right, but I think those guys are there. And like, if we're going to win, those guys have to play well. So if we win the game, those guys are going to play well because they're just too much of a part of our team, right? Our team it's a nationally recruited team. That's why it's so elite, because we have a guy that can recruit real national players and not just national leftovers. But we also have a lot of top local guys as well. Mike Jeezy asks, what impact do you think Dana White will have in the program, being that his daughter just enrolled and he's going to be at the Notre Dame game? We'll see. That's another reason. Let's say you're Dana White, right? You're there, you're having fun with your daughter, she's with her friends, whatever it is, and you see an incredible college football atmosphere game, and you're juiced up, and you get the same adrenaline you get, watching a fight at USC. Now he's hooked, just like all of us, right? And his daughter's hooked. Everybody's hooked when they see something like that. So we need to make new fans. Like Cam Ward last year made a lot of new fans. My kids, probably first and foremost, they were at that age where they're kind of understood football a little bit. And before then, Miami, they think of Miami like Middle Tennessee State. Boppy's very upset around the house, and they didn't care about Miami like that. They like sports, but Miami Hurricanes wasn't really juicing them up. Cam Ward, Xavier Restrepo, whole new ball game. Now their whole room is Canes. They can't wait for the season to start. So you got to make new fans, young and old, and convert people like Derek Cooper, and some of these high school guys are going to be there. So I think this game is a huge opportunity, not just nationally, to show everybody Miami's legit, but to just get people excited. Old Baldy says, I'm finally going to get my son to a game this year. I'm hoping it goes just like that. Yeah, man, it's a magic thing. It goes beyond the wins and losses. And I think that's one thing when people talk about last year and how disappointing it was. Obviously for us who live and die with this team for multiple decades, it was excruciating to be up 21-0 to Syracuse and lose the way we did and finish the season the way we did. The coaches see it the same way. But I think there's a lot of people that did not care about the Canes before that now they do, because it was the best offense a lot of people have ever seen. And I think, the video game, we're good now. I always use that example. Like teams will, like if you're just a kid in, I'll use Kentucky as an example for my guy Trenton Breeze. If you're just a kid in Kentucky playing NCAA and you look at you're looking at the teams and you see Miami ranked 10 with a good rating, you're like, all right, orange and green, cool colors. This is the team I'm going to use. It's a top 10 team. They're good in the game. I can compete with them. So it's little details like that make you relevant. And the key is doing that every year and then elevating as well. So we can't take a step back. We have to continue to move forward. As Play by the Rules says, talent acquisition improving year over year. The roster's national championship ready. Now you got to prove it. Because if you play at that level for a full season, meaning through January, I promise you recruiting, which is already good, is going to go to a whole new level, man. Jobs Money in Order says they need to do their due diligence. Texas has been worse for the past 25 years. Listen, I'm the first person to hate on Texas. Texas has historically been the most overrated state when it comes to college football. They suck. I mean, Texas has won, 3 national championships since the 70s, 1 since the 80s. And Texas A&M never done anything. TCU, whatever. They're overachievers. So you look at Florida, obviously we have 5-3-3. One more if you count UCF in their national championship. But Florida's always lapped Texas in their college football. But I got to be honest, Florida as a whole has slipped from a high school standpoint. I think Texas has made a move up in the last 5 years or so. Definitely a quarterback. But just overall, we had some great Texas players last year with Ward, Arroyo, and Martinez. And I think obviously the college teams are down. If you're a kid watching Texas, they're ranked number 1 preseason. So obviously that carries a lot of weight. If you're a running back like Derek Cooper, Bijan Robinson just went top 10 not that long ago. You were at least old enough to see Bijan Robinson kind of make that transition. And then they've been in the top 4 the last 2 years. So for us to say, Texas stinks and all that, I mean, these kids are not high school. They're not college football historians going back to the 60s. They're looking at what's in front of them. And Texas has some energy behind them. So you can't dismiss it, I don't think. Mo Hussein always saying, it's pushing it. I appreciate it. You got to start holding fans accountable. Show up. I think we're going to fill up. I'm going to fill up Notre Dame. We're going to fill up Notre Dame here, and it's going to be should be such a show that people are going to keep coming back. Walter Burke asking how are ticket sales? Sold out, baby. J.R. Barr, yeah, Canes most fun to watch last year, even to non-fans. You had people in the NFL doing the Cam Ward dance. This was a serious situation with the whole the zombie land. Everybody was doing that one. So it was a relevant year. Now we need to maintain relevance and then get over the hump on the field. Yeah, HTS saying a lot of these kids on 11U baseball teams hitting the Cam Ward celly after crazy plays and hits. That's new fans, 100%. Prisoner 113 asking, talk a little bit about Bain. After he came back from injury, seemed like he disappeared and didn't make it back to form. How's he doing? Is he dominating again? Looks great. Looks lean. Shout out to Mrs. Bain. She looks incredible too, man. Everybody in that family is just in tip-top condition, ready for a big year. So I think it's a big season coming up for him. It's a money season. I think his expectation is to be the best defensive player or best overall player in college football, and I think it's in him. He's lost weight. He's always been a hard worker. It wasn't only one of these guys that gained weight because he was lazy or anything. He had the injury and just things kind of got out of whack. But he's healthy. He's ready to rock. He's an assistant I think fits him, and I think he's going to have a really, 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 really great year for the Miami Hurricanes. And yeah, I bet on him. Shout out to Kellen Wiley Sr. You were talking about your son earlier. I think he's going to be impactful this year. Nothing's really changed my opinion on that big scrimmage for him tomorrow. Clizzy saying Damari Brown should be starting in one of the defensive back positions. Very possible, man. Damari Brown is really, really, ever since he came back in spring from an injury, he has been just outstanding. He's been really, really good. Really, really good. Clizzy saying Ray Joseph should start in the slot until Tony gets ready. I think Ray is going to play a lot. He's definitely competing in the slot, but I wouldn't sleep on the readiness of Malachi Tony. I think he was probably born ready. Who was the nickname Born Ready? Was that Lance Stevenson, the basketball player? You know, they call Malachi Tony baby Jesus, but you can call him born ready, because I think I think he's been ready for this level since he's started playing ball. His first game as a freshman in high school, he caught a touchdown on national TV, did an interview, went viral. So, you know, he's not new to this. I think it's going to be just fine. Everybody's going to have little jitters when you play Notre Dame opening day, but I think with Malachi Tony, I don't lose too much sleep over his production. Kyle's saying Clemson's getting all this hype with Klubnik, Woods, Parker, and ACC. My prediction is Miami will have the best quarterback. I agree. I just think Beck just has more talent than Klubnik. You saw him in the same field last year when Georgia played Clemson, and not one person in that watching that game would put Klubnik over Beck. I wouldn't either. Best offensive lineman, Noah. I agree he's better than anybody on Clemson. I think we have a couple other guys better than anybody on Clemson on offensive line. Best defensive lineman, Bain in the ACC. I agree. That's going to be a battle, though. Peter Woods, good player. TJ Parker, sack machine. But remember the last time Rubin Bain played Clemson? He looked like Reggie White, man. He was clubbing guys, knocking people out. He made his highlight reel as a freshman against Clemson. So if you watch that game, Woods played in that game, Parker played in that game, you would have said Bain was by far the best guy on the field. So injuries last year or whatever, I get the hype. But I'm not sleeping on Rubin Bain as the best defensive lineman in the ACC. They all got to prove it, though. Clemson's got to prove it. Miami's got to prove it. But I like all those picks, Kyle. And I'll throw in, I think what's this guy's name? Terrell from Clemson, Avion Terrell, is projected as the best corner in the ACC. And there's other guys in that mix. I would be surprised if the best corners, plural, in the ACC are both orange and green. MC21, what's the pregame tailgate look like for CanesInSight? We're working on it. We got an announcement probably next week. I got to talk to Pete. We got something cooking for Notre Dame. JR Bar says Clemson chokes against SEC teams, but beats the mid-ACC teams that Canes find a way to struggle against. That's right. But I'll tell you who doesn't struggle against those teams. Carson Beck. Against Georgia, he had 5 touchdowns. FSU, I mean, it was target practice. That was last year's bowl game. Who else did he play? ACC, Clemson. He did whatever he wanted. So, I mean, Carson Beck against the ACC has been pretty easy. Lizzie talking about Emory Williams, prime for opportunity to showcase his skills. Yeah, he's doing better, man. I'm impressed with Emory and his improvement on his body, just his overall demeanor. He's trending in the right direction. Shout out to Emory Williams. D-Money, who will have the bigger butterflies? Malachi Tony and Josh Moore or CJ Carr and Mincy? Well, considering CJ Carr and Mincy got to snap the ball to run the whole show, I think it's them. I think that's really the key to the game. If you're looking at Notre Dame, and what the advantage they have is that they've been a great program for, at this point, at least a decade plus, that they've been back and legit and competitive, and you know what you're going to get from them. They've lost games too. They've lost to MAC teams and they've had upsets, but Notre Dame's been pretty consistent and quality and relevant for a while. Whereas Miami, we just always found a way to not get over the hump for the last 20 years. So that's the biggest advantage is Notre Dame's a real program and Miami hasn't proven that yet. At least, again, recent history. Now, on the other side, for Miami, you're talking about freshman quarterback or rookie first-time quarterback, whoever it is, in an incredibly hostile environment. That obviously is going to favor Miami with their veteran quarterback, Carson Beck, who's 24-3 in the SEC. So those are like the big picture kind of things. We'll get into the actual matchups and the football stuff as we get here closer to Notre Dame. But I think football-wise, it's very close matchups. But I think kind of big picture and tangible-wise, Miami as a program needs to get over that hump. But Notre Dame has a freshman quarterback on the road, and that's very tough. Nashville Kane saying, watch what Beck did against the Volunteers, Tennessee's great defense last year. He won that game for the Bulldogs. That, to me, is the absolute best tape of Carson Beck last year. Go watch. If you guys want to kind of get feel for Carson Beck and what we're seeing in practice, just look up Georgia offense versus Tennessee so you can see all those snaps against Tennessee. He was incredible that game. He ran, he threw, and he made one of the best throws for a touchdown that I've seen. Just really, layering it over the linebackers, but driving it as well. And it was an NFL throw all day. Raising Kane said, this will be Morrow's biggest offseason battle and retention. We'll have a few players big-time programs will want. That's true, but we did that this year too. You don't think they were coming after Malinois, Rubin Bain, Jordan Lyle, guys like that? I promise you they were. Had to keep him. And we did. So I think retention, I mean, you lost Horton, but I think otherwise, I mean, retention, I think we were probably one of the best. Everybody lost players, right? I mean, Alabama lost their starting running back to Michigan. That's Alabama. Georgia lost their best pass rusher to Missouri. So you're losing a lot of guys everywhere in the country. I think if you only lose Horton or Miami and you bring back the number 3 portal class, I think you did really, really good from a retention standpoint, plus being able to also acquire. Almost 1,500 on, man. I'm going to like and subscribe to the show. We'll be dropping content nonstop, man. It's hard to stop. We got to keep it moving. So appreciate everybody joining us. Appreciate all our partners, Orchid Man, Duffy's, Miami Hurricane Team Store, Anajar and Levine, the whole crew. Appreciate you guys on this Saturday morning. Talk after the scrimmage. Go Canes.